Can you feel that fire burn? Week 7's in the books, now it's Clint's turn to yearn. John shocked the world, took Adam down hard. That trade he made might have been his wild card. Adams lost 3 straight, falling fast from grace. Can he bounce back or fade from the race? Clint crushed Jeremy, it wasn't even close. Jeremy scored 77, man, that's gross. Guess marriage hits harder than a bye-week drop. Your team's gone soft, time to make it stop. Clint 6-1, chasing Sean's throne. One more stumble and he might take it home. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Half the season's gone, still rowdy. From trades to trash talk, heartbreaking luck, we're halfway through, we don't give a duck. Week 7's wrap, let's raise a toast. Good luck to all, but Sean the most. Wait, nah, good luck to everyone else. Sean's had enough wealth. Jake came alive with a 54 score. Left poor Josh crying, I can't take this no more. NASCAR's ending soon, so's Josh's run. Fantasy pain just isn't much fun. Ian dropped the 39, that's usually sweet, but Sean went nuclear, album incomplete. Still the one, king of the field, with a team so stacked, no cracks revealed. Dez pulled a comeback straight out of her dream. Jay was coasting, but Dez said, not with my team. 2-5, but that win felt divine. That's the kind of fight that defines the grind. Then Ben stomped Will, it wasn't polite. McCaffrey ran wild and field goals all night. Will still got 1 win, man, that's tough. Losing to Ben again, enough's enough. Burn Sean, still the champ at 6-1. Clint's right there, hungry for that number 1. The Comet's sitting pretty at 5-2, making noise like he's coming through. Will's 1-6 on the edge of despair. He can't lose again, he better beware. Ian let us down, man, what a shame. Typical Ian, same old game. Sean's trade might have sparked something bright. Maybe he's not done yet, not without a fight. And somewhere out there, Josh is still trying, watching NASCAR while his fantasy team's dying. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Half the season's gone, still rowdy. From trades to trash talk, heartbreaking luck, we're halfway through, we don't give a duck. Week 7's wrap, let's raise a toast. Good luck to all, but Sean the most. Wait, nah, good luck to everyone else. Sean's had enough wealth. That's the wrap on week 7, let's roll into 8. Half the year down, the battles look great. Tensions building, who's ready to blow? Have to go, boys, let's steal the show. Good luck this week, except Sean, of course. May your points flow strong and your players stand firm. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. End of week 7. Let's ride!
And with that, 7 weeks are in the books. Can you believe it? Already our season's halfway through. Well, welcome everyone again. We'll be chatting here, talking about week 8 and our predictions for this next week. But of course, before that, we got a lot to talk about week 7 and, recap a small portion of, where the year is at so far. But yeah, a lot went down this past week. A lot of things that we predicted that, of course, went wrong. And a few that, unfortunately, did go right. But let's talk about it real quick. So before we get into, what my predictions were or any of the rankings, I did want to point out a few key things that happened last week. Number 1, John. Let's talk about John. So John got the win. He didn't score a lot. Scored 106 points. Unfortunately, Adam only scored 85. But John got the win, which he needed, right? And if we look at that trade, we all talked about that he made the trade. He moved off of Jefferson, gave him to Sean, whose team went from great to even greater from a lineup standpoint. And but with what John got back, I mean, who knows? Did it help him win? Possibly. I mean, he plugged him into the lineup. You can see there's a lot of green. Some green that was on there, which of course was just more than the team that he played against, right? We all know how the scores work with fantasy football. That's all you need to do is outscore your opponent. But just want to say that, So far, so good, John. 1 week in with that trade, and you got the win. Maybe turning your season around. We shall see. The next one here was just highlighting Jeremy. 77 points. That's rough. I mean, the man's team, again, preseason picked to win the championship. He had a lot of young rookies on his team that had high expectations, and his team has been up and down. And unfortunately, this was definitely a down week. Poor Travian Henderson, point 0.5. I know I have him in another league. And, listening to a few reports, fantasy footballers flat out said you could probably drop him at this point, which is just hard to do with the draft capital that you had, of taking him at the spot you did. But I know, man, 2 carries for 5 yards. That's rough. But just wanted to point out there, Jeremy, of course, give a shout out, as Sean all let us know that, Jeremy got married this past weekend. So congrats, Jeremy. Unfortunately, your fantasy team did not perform while you were, had other things to attend to this weekend. But just wanted to point that out. Number 3, Jake. Where are we at here? Jake, out of nowhere, scored 154 points. Poor Josh, playing against another team, right, that, scored a lot of points. And this one was, like I said, out of nowhere. Didn't expect it. I think we said on here that these two teams were, they were going to be close. They had records of 2-4 and 1-5 going into the matchup. And it was going to be ugly, low scoring and all that. And Jake proved us wrong. The man scored 154 points, and it was, for the most part, across the board. He's got a lot of a green on here. Herbert scoring 29 points definitely helped, but, some wide receiver points, 26, 28, tight end, even flex. I mean, he'll take it. And he needed that win. 2-5. I mean, maybe there's still a chance to make the playoffs, but he definitely has got to win a few more weeks. So, yeah, so that was kind of out of the nowhere, like we said now 3 times. Didn't expect it, but Jake scored a lot of points and got the win. Next, yes, calling out Sean. I know we put a lot of faith in Ian, hoping that he could pull out the win. He was a huge underdog going into the week, and he finished still way behind. But, I mean, he put up a fight, scored 139 points. That would have beaten the majority of everybody else. But it's not going to beat Sean when that man scores 181 points. You just got to say, damn. I mean, that's the highest. Yep, went back and checked. We all assume, but that is the number 1 score, the highest points so far for the fantasy year that we have, scoring 181 points. So, and then the last one on here is just talking about Dez. And the reason we're talking about him is Dez just had one hell of a comeback on this week, right? To begin the week, we scroll down. Chase had, 38 points starting off with, along with Aaron Rodgers. Jay had a huge cushion and was expected to win by a ton. And Dez just, kept going strong, little by little here. Of course, the one that underperformed was still Barkley based on that trade. But everybody else on his team, as you can see, strong from wide receivers and running backs, even a kicker and defense. And at the end, he ended up pulling out the win. So there you go. Great job, Dez. We didn't think you could do it. Actually, I said it was pretty much already over based on how that early Thursday game started for Jay, but you proved us wrong. So there you go. Got the win. Those were just a few of the highlights I wanted to point out for last week. My predictions, if you are keeping track, which of course we all are, I said Adam was going to beat John, got that one wrong, so 0-1. We got the Clint versus Jeremy pick right. Missed on the Jake versus Josh. That was kind of a toss-up. Never would have thought Jake would have scored that amount of points, but picked that one wrong. That put us, we're 1-2 at that point. We got the Sean one against Ian correct, although we wanted Ian to win. We knew it was going to be a tough battle. And Sean was just going to score too many points, in which, of course, he did. We missed on the Dez beating Jay. We said Jay it was already over, and there wasn't a chance for Dez. Proved us wrong on that. That put me at 2-3, and then got the pick against, or for myself against Will. And that put me at 3-3. So not a great week on my predictions, but there was multiple teams that, scored unlike what we would have expected. and giving them the win against what I picked. So let's look at the rankings real quick. Standings, as we all know, right? Sean is still number one, holding strong at 6-1. Clinton right behind him, also at 6-1. So those two are leading right now. They would be, the number one and the number two seeds getting the bye in the playoffs. But of course, we've got a lot to go halfway through the season. Still a lot of games left to play. Coming in number three, of course, is my team being at 5-2. And then at 4-3, having right now playoff positions for 4, 5, and 6. You've got Jay, Adam, and John all above that 500 mark. So still on track for the playoffs. And then Jeremy, Ian at 3-4. Jake, Josh, Dez at 2-5, and then Will at 1-6. And to point out again, just because we love to do it, right? What we're trying to strive for, right? When if we want to make the playoffs, what ranking, what win loss, I guess, based on what we're looking at, will make the playoffs. And we said 8-6 really is your goal, right? As of last year, if you were 8-6, you made the playoffs for sure. And then it was a little challenging if you finished at 7-7 because it was a fight then with multiple teams at that 7-7 mark, and then it was the highest points for based on those teams that were on there. Which of course we all know, Sean, at 7-7 had the highest points, barely made the playoffs, and then went on a miraculous run and won the championship last year. So we look at it, we start to look at the bottom of the rankings here, and we're not to the point of counting anybody out yet. Still plenty of time to go, but if we're saying 8-6 is the goal, well, you've got to win out. Honestly, I mean, if you finish at 7-7 and you look at your points for, like, a lot of things would have to go right for you. You'd have to start scoring a ton of points, 150 to 180 points a week to probably kind of catch back up to some of the other teams. But ultimately, though, if you still win out from here on out, you should make the playoffs. Kind of the same thing looking at our 2-5 teams on there. Like, you really, these last 7 weeks, like, you can only lose once. And you got to go on one heck of a winning streak. And for those teams at the top, knowing, I mean, again, there's bigger things that, those of us that are at the top there are going for. It's not only getting those playoff buys, but it's also trying to finish as that number one team so you get that extra payout on for the year, which pretty much then says, hey, you've already made your money back. Anything else you do throughout these playoffs then is just an added bonus. But yeah, definitely want to, try to hit that number one spot, but still knowing again, making the playoffs ultimately is what we're going for, and knowing that, that 8-win mark is what we need to feel comfortable about making the playoffs. And when you're at 6-1, you just know that, you've set yourself up for no matter what happens in the, second half of the season. Ultimately, you just need 2 more wins and you should be locked in the playoffs. So, all right, there you go. There's where we're sitting at for the rankings. Let's jump into our Week 8 predictions, shall we? So, number 1, we're going to look at Ian versus Adam here. So, Ian, as we say, up and down, all over the place. Scored more points this last week. Should have won if he would have played almost anybody else, but played Sean, got beat down. Adam, I think we said on there is a 3-game losing streak. It's been tough for him over the past few weeks, but I think it course corrects this week. I do think that Adam is going to come back with a vengeance this week, score a ton of points. I think, if we look at his team, I mean, they all struggled last week. Even, Bijan Robinson, which, wouldn't really say it was a struggle, but, definitely didn't score as many points as McCaffrey in that matchup. And just scored what would be, normally. And, Anyways, I think that'll all be different this week. I give Adam the easy win against Ian. Next, we've got John versus Jeremy. Let's see. Predicted pretty close. I think they, for the most part, John still has to set a defense on there, which might give him a few extra points. So, ultimately, then, John should be projected to win pretty handily. But I'm not going to predict it that way. I think Jeremy rebounds this week. I think his young rookies actually put up some points as of this week and just causes all this kind of confusion then still about, man, do I continue to start them? Do I bench them? What do I do? I don't think in the long run it's going to help Jeremy at all with what he needs to do from a start sit aspect, but I think it gives him the win. And John, I think you pretty much tell me that I never pick you to win, so why would I do it here? So even though I think you have the stronger team, I think you will be projected to win when it's all said and done to begin the actual week. I'm going to give the win, though, to Jeremy on here. So, all right, Jeremy gets this win. Next, we got Jake versus Will. How funny would it be, right? Will loses to one brother one week and then gets beat down by the other brother the next week. But you know what? That's exactly what's going to happen. Jake had a great week last week. I think he builds off of it. I think he gets back on track from win-loss. That would put him with the win, 3-5, and two-game win streak, which would definitely put him on the right track. But he scored a lot of points last week, and I think it's going to carry over again this week. I still like his lineup. I still like the matchups. I think he's going to score some points. I know Will's projected low on here, but he'll switch out his kicker and his defense, but it's still not going to be enough. I just don't think so. Will, if that holds true, that would put you at 1-7, and for the most part, your season's done. But hey, prove us wrong, get the win. I just don't see it coming. I say Jake's going to win for the most part pretty easily. Next, we've got Josh versus Sean. And if there was a week for Sean to lose, right, it would be this week. I know Sean even called it out himself in the messenger and just said, hey, based on bye weeks, and let's scroll down. Yeah, look at, he's got Gibbs, his main guy on bye, McBride on bye, all of his Detroits. Yeah, so he's only projected 113 points. So out of all the weeks, this would be his week to lose. So I'm going to pick it. Josh, we're behind you this week. We think this is your week. You're going to win, not only because Sean is not going to be able to score as many points as he normally scores, but what I think is on Josh's side this week is the Jaguars are on bye and won't be on Josh's team, and won't let him down. He's got to start somebody else, and I think because of that'll help. That should actually, it's perfect timing to play Sean with all the bye weeks, and then Josh to have to go in a different route. He also has a lot of players on bye weeks, so I'm picking Josh to win. It's gonna be close. And let's see, do we have any games that would be Monday? No, actually they have some Thursday. So what's playing tonight actually should really start their matchup out pretty strong. Rice on Monday. Cool. I think it's going to go down to where Sean will need a ton of points from Rice on Monday to be able to pull out the win, and just doesn't get it, falls short. And Josh gets the win. And then let's see, who do we got next? We got Clint versus Dez. How awesome would it be, right, for Sean and Clint to both lose in the same week? Well, that's exactly what's going to happen this week. Dez, I'm behind you. You've got another week, another strong week coming. Projections right now say it's going to be close, but I think it's going to be Dez. Dez had a strong week last week. The comeback of the year, if you want to call it that. I see it again to happen. I think Barkley rebounds, at least scores his projections, and everybody else does for the most part as well. So it'll be close. I think it'll be a higher scoring than what's projected here, but I'm going to give Dez the win this week. And then last year, myself versus Jay. I know I've had some luck. I haven't scored a ton of points. I just get lucky in who I play against. And they score less points and has given me the 5-2 mark, but I think that catches up to me this week. Jay's got the better team. He's projected more points. Even if Lamar doesn't play, I still am going to give the easy win here to Jay on the week. I just think if we scroll down and look at, the players he has, the projections, the matchups, I think Jay scores at least at 136 points that he's projected for or close to it. Unfortunately, I just don't think I can keep up on there. So we'll give Jay the easy win this week. So recapping, we've got Adam, Jeremy, Jake, Josh, Dez, and Jay all winning this week. So there you have it. There's our recap of our Week 8 predictions. of course, like we had mentioned before, right? Stay tuned for another video yet. I do want to post one before Sunday, somewhere between now and then. I do want to take a look since we're week 7 in, halfway through. Let's take a look then at, the team rankings, and not just how the rankings are on here. I kind of want to go through and really give everybody, a ranking, a grade of kind of how they've managed their team so far. Yes, your win-loss record tells a lot about your team, but there's a lot more into it. Like I just said with mine, I'm 5-2, but I don't have a strong team by any means. I'm dealing with a ton of injuries, just like everybody else is, but I think it's really hit me hard on there where, yeah, I'm sitting at number 3, but, I don't feel like I have the third best team at all. When we really take a look at it. So we'll really do a deep dive, take a look at that, and then we'll give the new playoff predictions, because it's been a while since we've talked about it. Last time we talked, right, our favorite was Jeremy to make it into the playoffs and then win it all. And I think a lot has changed since then. I don't know. Jeremy gets the win this week. He could still be into that. So I'd be curious when we actually do that video and break it down if we actually still pick Jeremy of even making the playoffs, let alone winning. So there you have it. That's what to expect yet. To recap week 7 and as we enter week 8 here. So as we always say, of course, good luck to everyone except for Sean as we enter into the new week.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Half the season's gone, still rowdy. From trades to trash talk, heartbreaking luck, we're halfway through, we don't give a duck. Week 7's wrap, let's raise a toast. Good luck to all, but Sean the most. Wait, nah, good luck to everyone else. Sean's had enough wealth.